What's been the hardest thing for you to navigate as a grant writer, and specifically when it comes to your clients and their expectations, as well as what your expectations or what you would hope would be the process with the grant itself? And I guess my question more specifically is, have there been situations where what your expectations were, what your hopes were, as far as what could come from a grant, maybe were not met? Something about how the grant was being reviewed, how it was being provided, for the awarded entities, how those resources were being allocated that just really caught you off guard. And is that the norm? Or is it more normal that everything kind of goes point by point by point and no changes are made after, the grant is released?
Okay. Are you talking about, okay, and I want to make sure that I understand your
Mhm.
question. Are we talking about now this person has gone through the process, they've researched the grant, now they've gotten the grant, they've been awarded the grant, now they're going through the process of being managing the grant. And then, this is where we are. We want to make sure that we're in alignment with the grant as it's being managed. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, at that stage, but also earlier on. Have you seen where a grant is making maybe promises of what the award ceiling is, and then for, a client that says, I want to go up to the award ceiling, our project is big enough to warrant, let's say, a quarter million, $500,000, and then you find out that the grant awards, none of them met that ceiling. Every grant award was lower than what you were told to expect.
Mm, okay. Well, I try to manage my expectations
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of things that we have very good communication. My clients and I, we talk about things. I don't believe in just writing a grant for someone and that's just it, and me
Mm-hmm.
passing it back to them and that's it. So if that's the expectation, they probably wouldn't be my client because
Yeah.
I don't write fiction. So there are situations where we do manage expectations in the sense of we have communication and collaboration where I want to know what is it that you're trying to do or get from this grant, and what is it that you say that you're going to do, to make sure that what we're writing, that it accurately depicts what it is that you're going to and are capable of doing, so
Mm-hmm.
that we're not writing something that is not true, or either, something that you can't do. It may sound beautiful on paper, but there's nothing like having a beautifully written grant that is not implementable, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or is not capable of being implemented, is probably the best way of saying it. I have been a grant program administrator before,
Mm-hmm.
so I know what it's like to be working on a grant that was written beautifully, beautifully written grant, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But the processes within the organization didn't allow for the way that the grant was written
Yeah.
administratively. Like there were certain things that they said would happen, different ways that uh, I guess the way a person would be paid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those are things that need to be talked about through HR or whatever as well. And and it may be even be a situation where you can say certain things about how or the frequency of what the way someone's going to get paid, but maybe it may be that maybe it's TMI, maybe it's too much information of, every little bitty little detail. You may put in the frequency, the amount, who's going to get paid what, various things like that. But there may be like certain internal processes may not necessarily be covered within a particular grant, or even necessarily need to be and
Mm-hmm.
covered in the grant. It needs to be, strictly what it is that you can do and what it is that you're going to do within the grant. And also for sustainability purposes and evaluation purposes, you may even want to put in there certain things where if various things aren't met, as
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about research and different things like that, if certain milestones aren't hit, how will you pivot? How will you work on trying to hit those milestones moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
Because within various reports, because there are a lot of reports, that have to be filed with various grants, they're going to ask you those questions. Did you hit a certain milestones? If you said that you're going to serve 85% of students within a certain length of time and you only served 75%, then you may have to account for where did that, why did you not hit that number?
Mhm.
Why, was there, such why is the amount not being met? So those are certain things that for me and my client we talk through to make sure that we're able to challenge each other. I want
Mhm.
them to be challenged, but at the same time, I want them to be able to have measurable goals that make sense for the
Yeah.
organization itself. So I think communication and being realistic about what it is that they can do, that does
Mhm.
help. Because we want to say, okay, well, we want to go out and we're going to save the world, or we're going to have to narrow it down. Okay, well, now we can serve 1,000, students. You're going to serve 1,000 students when? Are you going to serve 100, 100 over the course of 10 months? You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or, you have to break those things down. And so we have some serious, very transparent conversations, very, I think communication helps, and having a realistic and managing expectations truly help with